Hey, welcome back to the Million Dollar Body Podcast, the intersection of physical success, time, freedom, and adventure. I'm Nate Palmer. So glad you're here today because joining us is Rusty Osborne. Rusty helps men lose weight for good. He started his company, Find Your Total Health, to help people live their healthiest and most fulfilling lives. And he's on a mission to end obesity, having lost over 85 pounds himself. So after overcoming obesity and unhealthy habits for himself and for dozens of clients, he knows firsthand what works and what doesn't work when it comes to losing weight and keeping it off for life. He's also the host of the Losing Weight podcast, which is a great name, bringing us tons of information and motivation to get healthy and stay that way. Rusty, bro, I'm so pumped you're here with us today. Thanks for joining.
Nate, I am also pumped to be here. Not enough people use the word pumped anymore. I think it needs to really be in the vocabulary on a regular basis.
I'm always pumped though. So I got to keep, I'm saying it a lot. I'm pumped. Sometimes I'm stoked. Generally I'm jazzed. And I would say like a fair few times I'm lit.
Yeah, I know the feeling of getting from stoked to lit is pretty serious, you know?
Yeah. That's like you crush a good podcast and you're like, I was stoked, but now I'm lit. Like you drink that little extra, like you're like, you know what, make it a 5-shot espresso. And they're like, yeah, you're trying to get lit today. I'm like, roll the dice. I want to see where the day takes us.
So good.
Rusty, so can you tell us a little bit about kind of your background? I know I kind of gave that the general introduction, but you've been on a long-term weight loss and like health journey yourself. Would you take us back in time and tell us a little bit about where you were at and when you realized like something had to change personally?
Yeah, absolutely. So I came from being a full-time musician, and when you're a full-time musician and you're playing bars and clubs all the time, there's a lot of free alcohol and free food and whatnot. And I wish that was actually the start of the story, because then it would make it a lot shorter. But that's where it just got exacerbated. I'd always been the heavy kid. In high school, I thinned out a little bit, but then, I just kept putting it on. And the only thing that I was really good at in life back then was I could eat more than you, I could drink more than you, and I was pretty good on stage, right? So those were my only skills. So of course, if you only have a couple skills and people positively reinforce that and say, wow, look at how much that guy can eat, look at how much he can drink, and he's pretty good on stage, like, then that's all I got reinforced and continued to be till I was obese, drinking way too much. I don't know how I didn't die or get arrested a million times, and just continued to put myself in that space. But underneath it, I always had something in the back of my head that said, like, I know I could do better. I know I could do better. But until a handful of rock bottom moments really hit, I never took it seriously enough. And so I had been at one point decided, okay, I'm actually going to figure it out this time. And I start reading the books, start listening to the podcasts, and I got a trainer. I started running 5Ks, half marathons, full marathons, ultra marathons, eating what the experts said I should eat, and doing all the workouts and eating exactly what the book said. And I only lost like 20 something pounds. And for someone who's obese, that's not enough. And so after doing all that kind of physical work and getting injured as a result of carrying way too much weight up and down mountains on ultra,
I was going to ask you about that, doing ultras with at that weight. Ooh.
It hurt. It hurt real bad, and it took months to recover. And if you've got months to recover and you can't run and your identity is tied up as a runner all of a sudden, then this depression sets in, because if I'm not a runner, what am I? Well, I must be a bass player. So I'm playing all this bass and I played too much and I got tendonitis in my arm. So I couldn't run. I couldn't play bass. Like, well, then what am I? I'm a depressed, drunk fatty is what I was, man. Like, I just was in that space to the point where, one night we played a gig that was a little earlier in the night than normal. And normally it was like a 3-4 hour show that we would play. So I'd finish up around 1 a.m. That's not a lot of time to party and get home if you have something to do the next day. But when the gig ends at 9 p.m., you've got all night to make terrible decisions. Yeah, it was time to rage, and rage we did. And the next morning I woke up in pain, obviously, and couldn't find my bass guitar anywhere. It was gone. Like, well, hold on. This is how I make my living. This is not good. I can't find it. And I'm driving around the entire town, everywhere I could, to try and find this thing. And it doesn't exist anywhere. Calling every bar that I remember going to, every person I remember seeing, and it's nowhere to be found. And the worst part about that is it wasn't even my bass. It was a high-end custom bass that I borrowed from a friend to play this gig. And So I said, oh, man, I'm never like, I can't drink. Like I can't drink like I did last night. I can't overconsume like I do on a regular basis. Cause it wasn't just booze. It was also heading to Del Taco and getting the Fiesta pack for myself. And then saying, what do you guys want? You know, like there was a ridiculous amount of food and booze. And at the end of the day, I get back home after driving around trying to find it. And my neighbor had put it on my balcony. He found it outside my garage the night before. So it had been at home the whole time. And the moment was when I grabbed the base and said, oh, thank God it's here. Let's celebrate. Let's go out and party. Like, whoa, there it is. That's a problem when you swear off drinking because of a bad thing and then say, it never really happened. Let's really, really go for it tonight. That was when it was okay. There needs to be a real change. It's not just keep running. It's not just shift your addiction from booze to fitness, right? It's an overconsumption mindset that I had to fix. And from there, we dive into nutrition. We dive into what are the foundations of health? What are the things that actually matter on the long haul? So when you aim for optimal health, the weight just melts off. So I melted off a total of 85 pounds. And then I had to get into injury prevention. And so I built on slowly 25 pounds of muscle over the next about year or so, just focusing on slow injury prevention movements. And I haven't had hardly any flare-ups in my tendonitis in my legs or my arms. I feel great. I look great. Life is awesome. I haven't lost a guitar since. it's fine. And by the way, I can moderate my alcohol and food intake. It's not cut completely. I can have one drink and be done, which is blows me away. I never thought that would be possible. So you got my my pumped, stoked rant on where I was to where we are now.
I'm stoked to hear it, but man, that's quite the story. Like I wanted to unpack a couple different things in there. Number one, like what you said this early on, is that like your identity was tied up. Like your skill set was, I can eat more than you, I can drink more than you. And I think that's a common thing, especially with bigger guys. And I know, like personally, like I have not come from a background where I was 85 pounds overweight or anything, but I know that like a lot of times, just like personal identity and confidence and like self-esteem for men especially can be wrapped around what are my skills? What am I able to do? Who am I? Am I a bass player? Like you said, am I a runner? You know, or am I the guy who can eat more than you? And like, you know, even though that's not a healthy skill set, sometimes it's like, that's who I am. I'm just like, that's a masculine or a manly thing. We kind of lean into that. How did you break free from that, like that being your identity? Was it literally just a shift from like, I eat more, now I run more? Or how did you like move through that?
It's probably not what you expect. What I did was I didn't change that part of my identity for a really long time. I ate a shit ton of the right foods and melted off the fat. So I found what worked for my body and didn't change the identity. I changed the tactic. And sometimes it's an identity shift, sometimes it's a tactical shift, and they both can get us where we need to be. And so when I shifted to eating the right foods, I still ate 6-7 large meals a day, probably hitting 5,000 calories a day on a regular basis, and melted off the fat. Because I found, at least in my experience and what we found with our clients, you can eat a lot of the right foods if they're great for your body, if they're going to help you not spike your inflammation, right? And really target what's just going to be nourishing for the body, and the body will regulate its weight. And so when you get down to the last like 10, 15 pounds, we definitely have that conversation of like, should we care about calories now? But when you're doing massive weight drops, I don't give a shit about calories. I tell every one of my clients, go for it. Eat as much as you want, because I want you to be happy. I want you to feel full. I don't want you to hate, quote unquote, dieting, because I want you to enjoy this process and enjoy what it feels like to be healthy. And
that's really good.
Thanks. I thought so too.
Well, this is an argument I have with my clients all the time, because a lot of people come into the program, they think it's a diet. I got to do X, Y, and Z. They go, how much should I eat? And I go, I don't care. They're like, well, is it a palm size? Is it a this? How many calories? I'm like, doesn't matter. Eat in this way, eat with this structure, and let your body moderate itself. Mm-hmm. I love your focus though on eating for optimal health, eating foods that nourish your body. I think that nourishing and nutritious are two words that have kind of escaped us in this like fear factor, nutritional, like keto, carbs are bad. If you have white bread, you're, going to hell. That's sort of like mentality that people are in right now, where it's like, it's clean versus dirty, and I don't think that tells the full story. I think it's nutritious versus not nutritious. And I think that, like, it sounds like that's what you were highly focused on when you melted off that fat.
100%. And the more that we focused on just what is good for the body, what's good for the body, what's going to help me be healthier, what is optimal health, then everything else that you want out of a weight loss journey shows up. It all just gets there. There's a quote that I heard, don't chase the butterfly, tend your garden, and the butterfly will come. So we never chase the number on the scale. We never chase with our clients, like, let's get you down to 200 pounds for the first time in years. Like, no, like, let's get you healthy. And by the way, you're probably going to see that number hit below 200 pounds, but you're going to feel amazing. You're going to look so good. You're going to have so much more energy. You're going to have vitality. Sex drive is going to go up. You're more productive at work. 90% of our clients are making more money within 8 weeks, which is like, I don't do career coaching for these people. Like, I'm not doing business coaching. I just help them feel good. Right?
When you feel good, you perform good.
Yeah. Every time. Exactly. And so, yeah, kind of like you were saying, it comes down to, can we nourish the body? Can we focus on getting in good nutrition? Because if you focus on that, like Qui-Gon Jinn said in episode 1, the best Star Wars ever.
Whoa. I'm gonna have to edit that part out. That's some bullshit. Anyways, go on with what you were saying before you started lying to us. I don't edit anything on these episodes.
Neither do I. That's okay. So he said, your focus determines your reality. He said it to Anakin Skywalker. No matter how much you hate that movie, there's some really good quotes in there, because the Jedi are wonderfully philosophical people, philosophizers. And so what he said was, your focus determines your reality. If you focus on nutrition, in nourishing the body, that's going to take your focus away from, God damn it, I ate like that again. Like, I'm going to have to go hit the treadmill until that thing says I ran 1,000 calories, because I deserve that punishment. I suck. If you just focus on, like, hold on, like, what's going to be good for me? Then, oh man, okay, I overdid it yesterday. 1,000-calorie run isn't that good for me on a treadmill, in a gym, under fluorescent lights, around people that I don't know or like. Like, you'd be better off going for a 20-minute walk the next morning and just giving yourself a little forgiveness and doing better. So that nourishment focus, I think, is critical.
I don't remember that part in episode 1. For the record, it's not the best Star Wars, and I hope you don't think that that's true.
No.
But I do love that, because it's like, it kind of ties us back to, like, the reticular activating system, right? Like, it's what are you thinking about that you see? Like, I always think about, like, I own a car, a Honda Fit, and it's bright orange, and my wife calls it the Mystic Turd. And so I had a Lexus, great car, very classy, because I'm a classy individual. She had the Mystic Turd. The Lexus died, unfortunately, rest in peace. And then now I own the Mystic Turd, and she drives an awesome SUV. So now I live in a world, Rusty, surrounded by Mystic Turds on all sides, because I drive the car. So I see them all the time. So what you're focusing on determines, like, what are you seeing? So I think that, like, again, like, going back to, like, you're not a career coach, but, like, if you're focused on opportunities and growth and becoming more, you'll see opportunities everywhere. You'll see growth everywhere. If you're focused on, like, I suck, I needed to burn off this muffin that I ate, then all you're going to see is opportunities for punishment and, like, beat downs and, like, kind of reinforcing the same patterns that have got you into that position, even if it's technically a positive thing, like exercise. I think that's really, that's a good call. Qui-Gon, very wise.
Very wise. Very wise. Didn't get him from getting killed, but
Well, I mean, Darth Maul was, like, going to be a pretty good bad guy, and then he just got, like, I don't know, he's kind of a little bit, ended up being a little weak, to be honest. You see, like, the red and the horns, and you're like, this guy's going to be, like, top tier bad guy. He's not even around for a full episode. Skip it.
Seriously. I had high hopes for him. I mean, back when I was 10,
Same. So, Rusty, you mentioned talking about, like, helping people promote and think about in a way, like, what's good for me? What is the right choice for me? Because I think that, like, we put a table out of food, people are going to be like, oh yeah, pizza bad, broccoli good. Like, we generally know what's good for us. And I think when we started getting into this, like, what was it, keto? How many sugar alcohols are in there? Have you checked out the artificial sweeteners? Like, and we start like spinning up on all these things that are not necessarily that important to us. How do you like convince, talk people into, help like guide them to see that what we need to be doing is focusing on nutrition first rather than macros and some of the things that have kind of come from this Amazon Prime, I want results yesterday type of scenario we live in right now.
Right. There's a Mark Twain quote. He said, and I think it's Mark Twain, it could be somebody totally different, but that's who I saw it come from, was example is not just one way to influence people, it's the only way. And so when I heard that, it reminded me, okay, I really want the world to be a healthier, leaner place. Like, it's not fun to be obese. It's just not. I thought it was.
Albert Schweitzer.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate that. Albert Schweitzer said that shit. And it was fantastic because it helped me realize that the more that I love going on rants and raves and yelling and saying, like, get it together, you people. And that has its place, and I love it, and it's fun, it's motivational, it gets us going. And at the same time, if I'm not living the way that I preach, then it's really hard to influence somebody. And so when someone is looking at, well, okay, I do want to get skinny, like I'm tired of being fat. I don't even need to be a bodybuilder. I just need to like get some of this weight off finally. I don't feel good. The thing that I love to show them is results. Like, look at me. I literally walk by the mirror and say, look at this guy. He looks awesome, which is much different than the conversations I used to have, which is, look at this asshole. You did this again to yourself? Are you kidding me? Right. And so just that shift is ready and waiting for you. We've got clients who've lost 100+ pounds in 6 months and they're feeling awesome. And it was safe and sustainable. And they're loving the way their life is now. And these changes are so possible. So first off, if you're not where you want to be, look for the results. And this is like that reticular activating your system you were talking about. It's awakening your subconscious to the possibility that you can change. When you see that other people have done what you want, that literally expands your awareness and shows you that you can make that happen. So that's always number one. Like, realize that there's possibility. Look for people who've done what you want to do. Then talk to those people if they got it, like if you want to. You've got me and Nate right here are ready to talk anytime to help you get where you want to be. Right? Even if it's not about health or weight loss, you can shoot us a message and we'll get you set up with somebody who does what you need. Right? Find someone who can change, who's made the change. And also really dig deep into, I love digging deep into the pain versus the pleasure. So Tony Robbins says, every human runs away from pain and run towards pleasure. So let's utilize that. So if you're sitting out there and wondering, okay, is now the time to make this change? Well, what's not working for you? Really think about it right now. What's not working for you? Are you, do you love the way you look in the mirror? Probably not. Okay, so that's one thing. It's the relationship you have with yourself, plus the extra fat around your tum-tum, right? You don't love that. And you know you don't feel good. It's hard to pick up your kids, and you're out of breath going up a flight of stairs, and you can stack all these negatives that really suck. And you should do this. You should dig into the pain of what's really shitty about your situation. And the more that you can make that pain hurt, that's like a slingshot getting ready to rocket you forward. And then you can dig into the pleasure side of like, what is possible if I actually make this change? Imagine what I'll feel like. Imagine what I'll do. Imagine the places I'll go. Imagine the opportunities I'll have at work because of the extra energy that I've got. Imagine what if I finally started that side hustle because I had the energy to, instead of just thinking about it the last 10 years, because I just didn't have the energy to, man, you want me to do what after work and work out? No. You know, and then you get depressed and have another beer, right? So imagine the amazing things that you can do. And the more that you dig into that pain and get downright angry, because anger is an emotion of action, whereas depression is just stillness, right? If you can move from depression to anger, use that pain to flow, then damn, look at the future, look where you want to be, and you'll skyrocket there. And look at who else has done it and get their help, get that blueprint so you get there a hell of a lot faster.
Dude, that was magnificent. I love how you put that. And I've never even I like talking about kind of like getting into the why and stuff like that, but I'll generally focused on on the pleasure side of things. I try to avoid kind of pushing that pain button. But like that is like, I love what you talked about with the anger being an emotion of action. So like digging into that and actually like allowing that to fuel you and motivate you, and in order to start like changing to pursue that pleasure as you start changing. Because it's like whereas before it's like I get home and I'm tired. And then I am tired because I had so much caffeine. And since I had so much caffeine, I'm irritable. And now I had a fight with my wife. And now I'm having 5 beers. And then I wake up tired and I drink more caffeine. And we have this vicious cycle, right? What you're espousing is like, let's create that virtuous cycle. I work out so I have more energy. Then I have more energy. So I work faster. Then I get home, I have more energy for my family. So I have more energy to do my side hustle. So I make more money, which makes me happier, which makes it easier to work out. And so like imagining like, hey, that vicious cycle that you're currently in, what are those things? What are the consequences of those things? And not just like what would you like to pursue, but like, what would your life be like 50, 60, 70 pounds from now, making a couple like 10,000, 20,000, 100,000 extra dollars per year? Like, what would those changes actually cause you to do? I love the way you just put that, Rusty. That's really, really profound. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I like being told I'm smart. So, no.
That's what I'm here for. My spiritual gift is encouragement, but in a public forum like this. So
Perfect.
So what are some of the like I know that a lot of times we get started, right? And it's like, okay, I hate this. This is so horrible. And I'm going to get this. And I really want this. I'm going hard. And we have this motivation, right? We're inspired. We see people like you, man, he's lost 85 pounds. He's my coach. I'm really getting after it. What do you see those things happen around like that 4, 6, 8 week mark where people are like, like the motivation, the shiny object syndrome wears off a little bit. And we start being like, well, should I just go in macros? Should I do fasting? Should I do X, Y, or Z thing? What do you tell someone, or how do you talk someone through those inevitable bumps and plateaus that come?
Mm-hmm. Definitely. First off, it's normal. It's completely normal. We always want to look towards the shiny object. What's the new cool thing? What is it? Is it fasting? Is it keto? Is it carnivore? Is it vegan? Is it, man? And I've tried all of them, and like, they're okay. They have their place, but those are all tools in a toolbox. And what you need is a toolbox full of tools that you can use when you need them. So what I tell my clients when the plateau is coming and they're like, man, like I lost so much weight at the beginning and now I'm just stuck. And now, like, should I switch this for that? And I say, hold on, let's go back to week 1. What are the foundations? Like, what's the reason that you're here? So digging into that why, like we talked about, that never goes away. It's just that it kind of falls to the wayside a little bit. And we need to bring that back up in front of us for focus. Like, you think Michael Jordan just out of nowhere said, oh, I don't know, I think I need to go. Well, actually he did go play baseball, right? But okay, bad example. So I don't know, Kobe.
I thought you were going to say like, do you think he needed to go like with an overhand shot now? He's like, that's not working.
Been a much better analogy. Thank you. So
for next time.
Yeah.
That one's
so
on
imagine,
me, yeah.
So he didn't, the best players in any game come back to the foundations over and over. They run the same drills that they ran back in high school. They're going to do what is it at the very foundation that's going to make me better. So as a musician, I worked on my timing. Can I play quarter notes really well? Because if I can go dum, 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 dum better than the other guy, I'm going to keep that job. I'm not getting paid to go. That's not what gets results, right? That's jazz, and we don't need that, right? And so what we do, bringing that back to weight loss, is look at your foundations. The foundations are what get us the furthest. If you're looking for a permanent change forever, 8 weeks is not forever. If you're looking for forever, 6 months is not forever. A year isn't forever. So come back to the basics, stay on with it, have faith, because that's what the successful people have done. So to bring that back to tactics, what's your why? What's the basics that we've already put in place? And then normally I give them one little shiny object that we can speed up with, right? Because it is nice to get that little dopamine hit of a win. So are we going to increase our fasting time a little bit? Do we want to cut carbs or add in a heavier carb day, right? What is it that's going to be the thing that's, and it's personal per person, right? Because everyone is unique, different metabolism, different microbiome, different personalities that change the way that this journey goes. So that's my rant on that. That's exactly what I do, is I bring it back to basics and keep on trucking.
Yeah, I love it. Because Bruce Lee said, he had a great quote about it. He said, I don't fear the man who's practiced 10,000 kicks one time, but I fear the man who's practiced one kick 10,000 times. Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just that ruthless execution of like the real basics. Cause like when I was a young trainer, I was always all about like, what's the new cool exercise? What is T Nation promoting? But now that I've gotten like some of the best results of my life in the last 2 or 3 years of consistent training, I'm realizing that it's heavy dumbbell rows, dumbbell chest press, single arm lat pull downs, pull ups. Like it's all these like very, very simple exercises, nothing fancy. I'm not on a Bosu ball naked, like touching, you know, well, I am sometimes, but that's not for workouts. Different.
Different workout.
It's more cardio.
On our next podcast.
Join us for an interactive Bosu ball workout. Rusty and I. So yeah, but it's like, it's all about like, how do you get better? How do you get 1% better at these basics? Because like, until you've done something a few times, until you've had the same breakfast for 3 months straight, you don't really see the nuance to the basics. All you see is like, it's just a tree, right? And then like after a while, you're like, whoa, I see how it interacts with like the whole forest, you know, and like you kind of get you get perspective when you get bored. One of the big things that I preach about in my book a lot is like, you need to be bored. Boredom is when the changes and the real results happen. But like, I think a lot of us, we will live in this, like, I need a constant dopamine hit, like show me my Instagram notifications right now. And we can't allow ourselves to get bored because we haven't been bored since 2011, you know?
100%. And that's something that there was we could quote off right now. I can tell that we're both into all these quotes and anecdotes, right?
Let's go. I'm gonna put them all in the
Angela
notes.
Duckworth, her book Grit, right? She talked about the more that you can delay gratification, they've shown higher levels of delayed gratification to higher levels of success. So the kids in the marshmallow
study,
most people have seen, right? You know, the ones that could hold off the longest, then they tracked for however many years. And the ones that held off on that marshmallow the longest tended to be the most successful ones. So if we can delay the gratification, then we can have great success. And that doesn't mean don't reward yourself, but we can shift the rewards sometimes. Oh, one quick thing. Totally. I'm going to take this a little bit off topic, but still on topic. I learned just 2 nights ago that the dopamine pathway and the serotonin pathway actually share a lot of the pathway that they're on. And so if you're spiking dopamine, so you're getting that instant hit, you don't have the opportunity to produce as much serotonin. And so it's almost like they're on this teeter-totter balance. So we should have the right amounts of both. But if we're constantly getting that dopamine hit from the phone, from the chocolate, from the sugar, from the phone, from the chocolate, from the sugar, and we repeat that cycle, as we all know that it's so easy to do, then we're just in dopamine, and you wonder why you're depressed after that. You wonder why there's 3 days of depression after a solid sugar binge. Like it hurts, you know?
Yeah. That's really interesting. I did not know that about the serotonin.
Yeah.
But I love you said with the marshmallow study. And I think that like a lot of people have it backwards, right? I think that there's a lot of benefit to being slow sometimes. I think personally, like I was told when I was growing up that I was an exercise non-responder, that they're like, you'll never gain any muscle. Your body doesn't respond to it. And I was like, watch me, give me 20 years. So, but like, I always ask people, I'm like, hey, if this took twice as long, if this took 5 times as long, would it still be worth it? And I think the answer has to be yes. And then sometimes the answer is yes, but like in big letters, because it's almost more valuable if it costs you more, right? Like, that's why I think that some of like the best athletes in the world make the shittiest coaches. People who are naturally talented, people who are like, you ever had someone super smart try to teach you math? They're horrible at it. They're like, you just do it. You just put them together. And you're like, what's an integer? I have no idea what an integer is. And they're like, you just put, it's a letter that it's a number. And you're like, bro, you lost me at letter. I thought this is maths, you know, like, so I think that like having people in your life that are slow learners like me, or having a little bit, something that takes you a little bit longer to master. If you're not good at the guitar and you keep going at it and going at it and going at it, and then you figure it out and you get it, how much more valuable is that than just picking it up and being like, you know, That's how the guitar sounds, right? I'm a
It's
musician
exactly
too.
it. Yeah. Spot on. Nice work. Yeah. And
So
it's so critical to remember that too, because especially when you're looking at who can you talk to and who do you want to go to for results. I think it was Tim Ferriss had brought this up and I loved it. He said, don't go to someone who's just successful in that area. Don't go to someone who's skinny and ask them, how are you skinny? Go to someone who was fat and then got skinny, because they had to go along the same pathway that you need to go along. As opposed to, like you said, the kid who's just crazy talented on guitar. I was at a convention one year and I walk and I hear this shredding guitar. And I walk around the corner thinking it's like some monster celebrity guitar player. And it's this 7-year-old kid ripping faces off with his skills. And I didn't want to play for days. I was pissed. It's like, you're 7 and you're that good? I was like 20 something and half as good and pissed. But while that kid had to have some sort of talent and had to put in the work, does he value it as much as someone who worked at it for 20 years and genuinely sucked, and had to learn all the nitty gritty to get there? And that's the person that you want to teach you how to get where you want to be.
100% agree with that. Rusty, do you want to change gears a little bit? Like I said at the beginning of the show, that this is kind of the comment, like the like kind of the way I like think of it as like intersection of like physical success and freedom, like with your body, financial success and freedom, and adventure. And you're doing all those things at a high level right now. So you just told me before we got on the show that you've been traveling around, staying in different campgrounds with your wife. You're actually broadcasting this out of your van right now, which sounds amazing. You look great. But can you tell me a little bit about kind of like what spurred that on and how you're accomplishing this? Because it sounds like this is a bucket list item for so many of us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of the main things that I heard when we finally pulled the trigger and sold all our stuff and left home, everybody said, man, I wish I could do that. And I heard that same thing when I lost a bunch of weight and people said, man, I wish I could do that. And guess what, guys? It's possible. If you want to do it, reach out and grab the bull by the horns, my friends. Like it's out there. Life is ready to go. And it is not impossible. It is not impossible. It's difficult. I'm not going to say it's all daisies and rainbows, though we have seen daisies and rainbows on our travels, but there's so much possibility out there. And that's what I've always thought of, whether it was in music or health or success in general, in business, whatever I'm doing. It's like, there's got to be a way. There's got to be a way. So so tying that back to what we're doing, we started a business pre-COVID to help people lose weight, because I needed to share this with the world, because I knew it was possible. And I had too many people say, I could never do what you did. So, okay, we have to figure that out. What's going on in the mind that's making people think that I can't do what he did? Because you can. I sucked at everything in life. I already told you that, unless it was eating, drinking, or kind of good on stage, right? So you can make a change. And so we started that business. I'm still playing full-time in the band. And then once COVID hit, there were no more shows to play. And so my wife and I just sold our stuff and got in the van and left. And so we already had this business growing. We already had clients that we were helping at a really high level, and we just decided to go for it. And so at the end of the day, whether it's losing weight or going on a big ass adventure, like I've been technically homeless for over a year now. It's been the best. You just make a decision. It all comes back to one decision of, I'm going to be healthy. I'm going to be an adventurer. I'm going to live across the United States for a few years. Hell, I'm going to get rich. I don't see any of those things as different. They're skills. Everything is a skill. And I learned that from sucking at guitar and having to get good, is that you can change and every skill is developable. Yeah, sure, people have talents in different areas. Like I've got a talent for not being attached to homes, I guess. And so I love not being in one place very long. The times I've been happiest is when I've been out on the road, just doing whatever I feel like, but still sticking with the disciplines, the things that are important to me that drive the long-term vision of myself. So
love it. I think you're right. 100% right. Like whether it's guitar, adventure, financial success, physical success, it's like, there's 3 pieces that you've unpacked for us. Number 1, it starts with a decision. You got to make that decision right now, because everything you do from here on out, your actions have to vote in the favor of that decision. You have to vote for that decision over and over again. Then you got to find someone who's done it before. You want to live abroad? Talk to, or like, talk to me, I guess. I lived abroad in South America for a year. You want to want to drive through all the campgrounds in the US? Talk to Rusty. He's already done these things. You want to figure out how to be rich? Go find someone who has gone from nothing and has a ton right now. Talk to Craig. Talk to Craig Valentine. Now, like, talk to someone who's been on that path. Find that coach. So make the decision. Find that coach, and then I think the last one that you talked about is get those reps in. Do it again, do it again, do it again. Keep coming back to the basics, because one thing that I love to always talk about, and I feel like people are probably sick of hearing me, is I say, hey man, if you don't quit, you can't lose. You can't lose if you don't quit. The only thing, like, and especially like, it's not like either of us are playing in the NBA where talent is required to play at the top, the highest level. All that's required to play at the highest level from a financial perspective, from a physical perspective, or from an adventure perspective is the willingness to go and go and go and go when other people stop along the way. So
100%.
Love that message, Rusty. Thank you.
Mountain path keeps on going, and you have to keep walking if you want to get to the top.
Who's that quote from?
Just stop. I just said it.
I love it. Now I'm gonna quote you later.
Bring it.
As Rusty Osborne always says. Rusty, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on the show today. You're on Instagram as @thecoachrusty. Where else can people get in touch with you?
Definitely check out the podcast, Losing Weight. And that's where we go with education, inspiration, motivation. What do you need to, kind of like you're doing? I focus on the weight loss and the health and feeling great there, but also how do we translate that to success or from success? Because there's so many people that listen that have had success in their business or in their relationships, and you can translate those skills over to your weight loss journey, right? There are parallels always. So check out the podcast. It's a ton of fun. We're going to get Nate on there as soon as we can here. And then outside of that, I mean, hit me up on Instagram or send me an email, thecoachrusty@gmail.com. We keep things simple here. So book a call. We'll help you out. If you need anything at all, health or otherwise, let me know and we'll connect you with someone who can help you out.
And man, like if you're listening to this and you're thinking like, I don't know, that's for me, or like I've got more weight to lose, reach out to Rusty. Like especially if you got like, if you're sitting in that same boat as he was, 80 plus pounds overweight, you want to talk to this guy. So reach out to him, have that conversation, because he's already been there. He's already done that. And he's already helped other people accomplish it as well. So make sure that you're not alone in this journey. Make sure that you have the support systems that you need, and you have opened your mind to the possibilities and your own personal potential. So get these people in your corner. I try to, want to make sure that you have what you need, who to connect or contact to get the results that you're looking for in your life. So don't hesitate, reach out to Rusty. He's the man. And I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day. Thanks for being here, Rusty.
Thank you, Nate. Appreciate it.